of 2009. It is her speech number 14. The project that she's working on is titled The Folktale. To tell a folk tale that is entertaining and enjoyable. She will tell a story about the legendary King Arthur sometime after he pulled the sword out of the stone and became the king of Camelot. He and his loyal knights of the Round Table went on all sorts of quests and adventures, and this is one of them. Please help me to welcome Bettina Levy.
Once upon a time, King Arthur decided to go deer hunting out in the woods outside of Camelot. After a while of searching, he found a white deer grazing next to a river. Now, white bucks are very rare creatures, so he thought, his head will look great in my throne room. He dashed at full speed on his mighty steed, but the deer saw him and dodged out of the way, leaving his horse to fall straight into the river. After some confused splashing about, Arthur and his horse managed to get out of the river, but the deer was long gone. Arthur rested on the riverbank, catching his breath for a while, and he was about to get up, but then he saw two big black boots trailing up whoever it was' body. He saw a big black suit of armor with a big black helmet on it, with two big scary eyes glaring out of the slit. Oh no, thought Arthur, this was the Black Knight. He was tall and menacing, and carried a big, scary battle axe. Well, if it isn't King Arthur, looks like you've wandered in my part of the woods. You know, it'll be very easy to chop off your head right now. A dripping King Arthur stood up and said, "Yes, you're right. I am unarmed and defenseless. I'm completely at your mercy, Black Knight." The Black Knight took note of his humility and said, "Okay, I'll show you some mercy. I'm not going to kill you just yet. I'm going to set you a challenge instead. Come back to me in a year and answer a question for me. If you answer correctly, I will let you go. But if you don't answer correctly, I'm going to chop off your head and your kingdom will be mine." Arthur wasn't too nervous because he was a pretty smart and clever king. "Sounds simple enough. What's your question?" The Black Knight smirked at him. "What is it that women want most in the world?" Well, this certainly was a difficult question for anybody to answer, but Arthur considered himself lucky that the Black Knight was letting him live, and he accepted the challenge. "Remember, King, if you don't give me the right answer..." So King Arthur rode back to Camelot and explained his challenge to the Knights of the Round Table. After some discussion, they decided that the best way to tackle this riddle would be to ask every woman in Camelot, "What is it that you want most in the world?" They got plenty of answers. Women wanted love, friendship, children, money, a new house, pretty dresses, shoes, oh, the list goes on and on. Of course. Arthur wasn't very sure these answers would satisfy the Black Knight, but he wrote them all down anyway and made a whole list. After a year of searching and asking, the day finally came for King Arthur to meet the Black Knight. He took his knights just in case. He didn't say anything about going alone now, did he? So they all rode through the forest until they came across this old woman. And let me tell you, this woman was old. Old. She was so old, the word old stopped sounding like a real word. Her hair was gray and wiry. Her face was wrinkly and warty. Her chest sagged like... Well, you get the idea. King Arthur said, "Well, hello, ma'am. What can I do for you?" "The question is, what can I do for you? See, I know you have a riddle that needs answering, and you've asked every woman in the kingdom except for me. But the difference is, I know the right answer." "Is that so? Well, what is it that women want most in the world?" "Quid pro quo, your highness. I do something for you, you do something for me. I'll let you have the answer on one condition." Well, the king shrugged. Anything had to be better than getting killed by the Black Knight. "What's your condition?" "I want to marry one of your knights." The knight stared at her, praying she was joking. "Y'all can fight amongst yourselves." King Arthur ran a hand through his hair. "All right, which one of you wants to marry her?" "Anyone? If no one volunteers, I'll pick one myself. The knights didn't say anything. No one wanted to volunteer until finally, after some moments, the king's youngest knight raised a brave hand. I'll do it, your highness. I'd rather marry her than have the Black Knight as our king. Arthur and the others sighed with relief. All right, your condition has been granted. Now, fulfill your part of the bargain. Lean in and I'll whisper it to you. So he did, and she told him the answer. The king's face lit up. It was an answer he hadn't considered before, but it made perfect sense. So he thanked the woman and they went on their way. And they met the Black Knight near the river, where he had fallen in a year ago. All right, king, let's get to it. I've got things to do, heads to chop, kingdoms to rule. So Arthur read off his list of answers, and of course none of them were right. Black Knight laughed. Oh, what a shame. Well, how about you put your head down and we'll get straight to it. Wait. I have one more answer, and I promise it's the right one. All right, one more can't hurt. King Arthur took a deep breath and said, what women want most in the world is to have their own way. The Black Knight said, what? Who told you? How did you? He was furious. He stomped and stormed and threw a terrific fit, but he kept his word and he left the king alone and grumbled all the way. So Arthur and his knights returned to Camelot victorious. Long live King Arthur! They approached the castle walls, but they saw, waiting for them, the old woman, loitering around like a bad smell and smiling a toothless smile. Howdy, gents. Is the wedding today or tomorrow? King Arthur looked at the young knight who had promised himself to the woman. He looked like he was regretting his decision about now, but he knew he had little choice. All right, let's get it over with. The wedding was thankfully quick and held that day, but that didn't change the fact that she was the worst bride in existence. When she threw her bouquet, she knocked a bridesmaid unconscious. She was rude to all the guests. I'm old, I can say whatever I want. And she ate with her mouth, she talked with her mouth open and didn't bother using any manners or utensils. She just stuffed her face like a dog. In short, she was a real embarrassment. All the ladies who'd had their eyes on that young knight glared and mumbled jealously. What's a handsome young knight doing like that with a woman like her? And anyway, eventually there came a point when the hag ran out of people to offend and she went upstairs to the bedroom. The knight stayed at the reception for as long as possible because he didn't want to face his honeymoon. But he couldn't delay forever and he had to go to the bed. He crept into bed quickly and quietly and lay perfectly still. She sounded like she was still asleep, thank God. And he was just about to drift off to dreamland when he felt the bed move and he heard her say, how about a good night kiss? He pretended he didn't hear her, but he heard her say, come on, I know you're awake. Now, the young knight considered himself to be a brave man, but slaying dragons had nothing on this. But he hadn't married her, so he decided to just suck it up. He turned his head, puckered his lips, and closed his eyes tight so he wouldn't have to look at her. He fully expected to meet his wet wrinkle of doom. But to his surprise, the kiss was wonderful. He opened his eyes, and to his surprise, he saw a beautiful maiden with golden hair and eyes that sparkled like diamonds. Who are you? He asked. I'm the same woman you married. A curse was put on me by a jealous witch a long time ago. And I'm an old crone by day and a beautiful woman by night. This is how I really am. Huh, so you're cursed. Is there any way to break this curse? Yes, now that you've married me, you have to make a choice. I can be beautiful by day and ugly by night, or vice versa, and you have to make the choice. So the knight thought about this for a while. He could have her be beautiful at night. She was right there, so it was looking like a really good choice. But he remembered how embarrassing the old hag was at the wedding reception. He couldn't have her be like that every day. So better to have her be herself beautiful by day. But then that would mean he'd have to sleep with... He didn't want to think about it. It was a very tough decision. He couldn't think of the lesser evil, so he said, I'm sorry, I really can't choose. You decide. The young maiden threw her hands on him and kissed him again. Thank you, you've done it! My curse has been broken. Really? What did I do? You let me have the choice. You let me have my own way. And so the curse was indeed broken, and she never changed into the old woman again. So King Arthur and his knights learned that all women want is to have their own way, and the Black Knight never bothered Camelot or its king again. The end.